I was extremely sad after Yom Kippur to hear of the early death of Rena Wolfson. She didn't really know me, and I only knew her from a distance. Don't tell anyone, and we might need to embargo this recording, but she was the secret shul goer. The Jewish News ran a column in which the secret shul goer would secretly pop into a synagogue and review it according to its sermon, service, and kiddush. We at Westminster did very well on the kiddush review, and we were delighted to get such a generally generous review. She was admiring and clearly even proud as she was secretly at shul with one of her little girls that day at how much the bat mitzvah Sophia Stalbo did and how conscientiously she did it. She even appreciated the sermon. We were so delighted at these anonymous published compliments that our chief executive mentioned to me that given that we make everyone fill out a visitor's form who is not part of the community already or part of the bat mitzvah, the secret shul goer was in fact not so secret to us, but it must be someone called Rena Wolfson. I was careful not to blow the cover, even when my mum told me how much she was enjoying these lessons on art and Judaism at the Jewish Community Centre at JW3 by someone called Rena Wolfson, and how she really hoped she would learn more from her. I noticed through social media that over the last couple years, Rena was studying a page of Talmud every day with another woman called Janine Stein, and they were leaving wonderful reflections under the name Sugya Sisters, a Sugya being a unit of the Talmud's ancient text. Then after Yom Kippur, I saw this notice that she had shockingly passed away, and I read the last blog in her cancer diary entitled "Nobody Needs Another Cancer Diary." And I should warn you that this is sad as well. She writes of how she hopes she will be there for her grown-up son's scheduled wedding. And of course, she thinks about him and her husband so much, but the unfairness that she was reflecting on a few months ago was her two preteen daughters losing her. She wrote in that blog, "They're too young to lose me. I'm not ready to let them go. I will have to let them go years before they're ready. They will have to live without me years before they should. The control freak in me attempts to minimize the loss, to hold on. So while the girls are at school, I've been beavering away, making fold-out cards with little pockets to hold notes, photographs, and letters. Each one has a different purpose and a different message on the front. Open when you're feeling sad. Open when it's your birthday. Open when you need a hug. I've written letters for the girls to open when they're having a bad day or feeling worried about the future or can't sleep. I've written letters for the milestone mothers, for the milestone moments that mothers and daughters usually share. Open when you get married. And before I get accused of favoritism, I've written letters for my adult child too, though they're distinctly less arts and craftsy. As I write these letters, I try to imagine what I would say to my children when they reach the age of 15 or 21 or 35. I cling on to the illusion that I will still be able to talk to them. And I know it's futile. I know it's a hollow attempt to hold on when I need to let go. And I know deep down that the harder but kinder thing to do is to let them have a future where they will be comforted by or celebrate milestones with people who are still physically there with them, and not try to butt in with well-meaning messages written years before. You know, in reading that, I'm not so certain, partly because Rena's writing is so beautiful and her thoughtful love so powerfully conveyed, that I wonder if that received at the right time, getting any of this could be such a gift. I wonder too, as we turn to the last pages of the Torah, in the final portions, Moses introduces his last song to the people that Anna brought to life with these words: Ha'azinu hashamayim vadabera, v'tishma haaretz imrefi. Skies, incline your ears, and earth, listen to my speech. Why does Moses invoke the sky and the earth? And what can we learn from this? One suggestion from Ibn Ezra is that Moses' words are directed up towards the angels above, as well as the people below in front of him, and maybe a little beneath him in age too. We might learn from this that Moses desires to say something important in scope, that he wants to address what matters in the world as he looks up as well as around and beneath him. And we might learn that we should look for and treasure such words, and even aspire to look up and around and give them too. From that address of Moses to the world, we might also immediately see some of the substance of what's important, of what we should focus on. Ramban, the 13th century commentator, says that the earth and sky are invoked, not merely rhetorically, but because they are the characters first mentioned in the Torah. And in those moments, Ramban says, humanity entered into a brit, a covenant, with earth and sky. And so implied, if we act poorly, they will respond. So Moses teaches us that the earth and sky are ongoing partners in a conversation and in an agreement with responsibilities, that we should listen to them and respond to their currently concerning responses. Ultimately, though, Ibn Ezra says that the main reason Moses invokes the earth and the sky is because he knows that he will very soon die. And he hopes that his words will last forever. He wants these words to last. And he imbues them with that purpose. And perhaps they will last with humanity, or just with heaven and earth. And to add to Rena Wolfson and Moses, our teacher, I was listening to a conversation with the theologian and writer Kate Bowler, who was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer at age 35 6 years ago. She considered stopping writing to focus on other things because she thought she had even less time left. But she found without writing she was missing purpose. So she has written and she has written. And in this conversation that I heard with her, she described hope as a story in which God positions the story in the future, and it includes us. And it's a story of love. And there is, I think, in our Judaism, a story that emerges across time. And it's important to realize that not only are we part of it, but we can shape it. We can transmit it. This story can be written by you, and heard by you, and passed on by you. So let us each chip in to that story of love and hope. Let us look to the past and to elders for it. Speak to it ourselves and pass it on. Write or record some words that matter to you. You don't need to consider yourself a writer to look up and look around and carve out a moment to note something that feels important. Dig up and read humane, loving words from the past. Make those aspirations and struggles of others part of your awareness, part of the story that you read and you live and you share. We can find such moving riches in our Judaism, in its prayers, in its scriptures, in its Torah, if we hold in our heart the humanity of these words of those who have gone before us. Yes, some of the Torah calls out to us challengingly as if straight from the sky. But we have seen our Torah ends with the words of a human frail facing death and grappling with ultimacy, regret, pain and love, and posterity. Much of our teachings and prayers invite you to come closer to human authors and their divine efforts to grapple with what's important, to what's true, with what's beautiful, with what's right. I understand that there's a beautiful Senegalese expression, beautiful but painful, that when a beloved elder dies, a library of books is burnt to the ground. Our Judaism, in its insistence on intergenerational transmission, on passing stories and practices, l'dor vador, from generation to generation, and our Judaism in its love of stories and words, teaches us to combat those flames, to save those books, to add to them, to vivify them, to listen so carefully and to write and speak so ambitiously that we put away those flames and restore those texts. Find the writings of your elders, but also those wise who were taken too early, who have given us so much. You might look to Rena's writings, or to those in your own family, as well as to Moshe Rabbeinu's words, to posterity, and to you before death. And leave some words too. Always be leaving some words. I hope that Rena would have liked this Devar Torah, this sermon, as much as the one she visited for. And I know she would have been proud of this bat mitzvah. I'm thinking of her family and pray that whether she left those letters or not in the end to accompany her brilliant blog, that they will always know her love. Shabbat Shalom.